All right, everybody, so starting this off a little late. I already got into the project, but got something in the mail today, and what do you know? Wheel spacers. So with Chevys, the front stick out more than the rear. So I got 1.5 inches for the front and 2 inch for the rear. So I've already got the left side done. I'll show you that, and I'm in the process of doing the right. So I already grinded it down. I'll show you what I had to grind down on the front. All right, so this is the left side. Before, it sat in way far. Now I think it has like a perfect stance. Sitting out a little bit. So right here, what I did is I've already grinded the tips off the studs. And it's not much. I mean, there's part of the stud right there. See, it's next to my finger. It's not that much. So, all you're doing is taking off this little smooth section. I'm not even touching the threads itself. So the reason why I'm doing that is this right here is the 1.5 inches. If I were to just straight put it on, see how those studs stick out? You have to cut that off because on most rims, you don't have an indent in between the holes. So eventually that would cause me to wreck. So now that I cut off the tips, none of them protrude out. And then it'll sit perfect. And these are hub centric to the Suburban. They don't move up and down. As soon as I get the lug nuts in there, it won't go side to side, but there's no movement up and down. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get these spacers on, get them torqued on, and I'll show you what the finished product is.
Picture.
All right, so we've got, what I did is I installed them, and I put about 130 miles on it. So what I did is jacked it up, took the rims off, loosened up the wheel spacers, and retorqued them. So make sure you retorque your wheel spacers, because if you don't, then there's a chance that they could fall off. So I got the 2 inch in the rear, 1.5 inches in the front. And now they stick out fairly even. Still a little bit more on the front. But I think it looks a lot better. Now it doesn't look all tucked in, because before the rear, they were sucked in quite a bit. Obviously 2 inches. So when you're doing these wheel spacers, make sure you retorque them.
No.
All right, so when you're torquing them down on the first round, I actually had one spacer where the studs weren't fully seated. So as I was tightening it down, like I'd get close to the 135, 140 foot-pounds of torque, which this Suburban takes, and then it would loosen up. And I had to do that for probably 4 or 5 turns, and then finally the studs seated in the wheel spacer itself, and then I was able to get a proper torque on it. So just make sure that your studs are fully seated in, because I'm pretty sure that's part of the problem when people are having with wheel spacers and wheels falling off. So if you do everything correctly, you shouldn't have any issues with your wheel spacers. And you got to choose the right ones. So make sure they are hub centric, and that will take a lot of the stress off the studs, because you got the center of the hub, and then the hub centric ring, or the actual wheel spacer, sits flush with the center of that hub, so there's no movement at all. So it's basically like having a stock rim on your stock hub. So get the correct wheel spacers in the first place. Make sure you are torquing them to spec. Make sure that the studs are fully seated. so that way you do not have a wheel fall off. And after you drive it 60 to 100 miles, I put a little bit more than that. Make sure you re-torque them. So take them off, loosen up your wheel spacer bolts. I loosen them all up and then put them back on. That's the best way that you're going to ensure you got the proper torque. So make sure you guys are torquing up after you put your hub-centric spacers on.
Yeah.
And follow that and you shouldn't have any issues. So that's it. I mean, my spacers were about 120 bucks. Not too bad. And these I don't think I'll have any issues with these, just because I did everything exactly how I should have. So don't skip any steps when you're using these spacers and you won't have any issues. So, and don't go with the cheap stuff. I just got a good deal on these ones. So, all right, well, that's it for this. So there she is. She's sitting a lot better, and it's better than having the rear stick in. You can even see the tire from right here, and the fronts were still sticking out a little bit. So, thanks for watching, and make sure you guys subscribe, and then I can still continue with
Go down here.
more content. So, thank you.